Hello, Mr. Zombie. And hello to you, Minecraft fans. This is your Uncle Troy. Today we are still playing 1.8.1, waiting for the official Minecraft release to come out. And, just don't want to start any major... there we go. And the only reason I did that was that I'm about to dig down a little here to get to the next level of the cave. And didn't want that coal I was digging up to go to waste. Hello, you're a cave, you're a cave. Okay, I was telling the story of how I got some scars on my arm, which started with me being diagnosed with diabetes and being told about a condition that diabetes causes called peripheral neuropathy, which causes your hands and feet to go numb and not heal correctly. And hello, oops. So I reported every little tiny problem with my hands or feet to my doctor, as I was supposed to, I'm told. But every time I'd report something, I was basically told, oh no, that has nothing to do with diabetes, that has nothing to do with peripheral neuropathy. And one thing which came up was, die, Mr. Zombie, thank you. Nom 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 nom. So my right hand, I had some numbness and tingling pretty much every morning when I woke up. Sometimes it'd go away during the day, sometimes it wouldn't. So I explained it to my regular doctor, who said it's not peripheral neuropathy, but I'm not sure what it is. So let me bring it to your let me send you to a hello, Mr. Mineshaft and Ravine. And crap, I'm always hitting mine shafts and ravines. I just want a cave without mine shafts or ravines. Is that too much to ask? Is that so hard to find? Apparently it is. Alright, I'm going back up to the surface, and or not if I get lost here. So the doctor sent me to a hand specialist, who sent me to get a nerve conduction study, which is just as unpleasant as it sounds. And he said, oh, well, you've got neuropathy in your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your ulnar nerve and your median nerve. And the ulnar nerve is the nerve that goes around the outside of your elbow. It's your funny bone, basically. And the median nerve is the nerve responsible for carpal tunnel syndrome, because it comes down the middle of the hand. And between those two nerves, they control pretty much your entire hand. And if both those nerves go out at the same time, well, you've got pretty much no use of your hand, which was apparently what I was heading toward. So after quite a bit of concern about the surgery, I finally decided, okay, I'll have the surgery. And they scheduled it for, the next month. And the surgery was a carpal tunnel release, which means they cut on your wrist and the meaty part of the heel of your hand, and widen the channel where the carpal tunnel, the carpal tunnel is the name of the channel, and they widen it so the median nerve can come through. And a lot of people get carpal tunnel from repetitive stress or using a mouse or whatever. But me, I apparently got it because I slept on my hand wrong. Okay, I thought I was not too far away from the surface at all. Let me check my F3 again here. 69, yeah, I should be right around sea level right now. How much you want to bet I'm coming up in the middle of a mountain or something? Nope, there's a chicken. Now the ulnar nerve is a little more difficulty. The ulnar nerve is the nerve that goes around the outside of the elbow, and you bang onto it, or you bang into it when you hit your funny bone. Let's see, I need to be going away from my spawn. Let's see, we have floating island over there. Nice overhang over here. Creeper over there. Mr. Pig. And I wonder if I can just make me a little hidey hole back in here. Alright, sleep, sleep, sleep. Da-da, and and I came out outside my hidey hole. Okay, so the ulnar nerve was an ulnar nerve transposition. And you know, the explanation of how to handle the carpal tunnel didn't, you know, scare me much at all. But we're just going to cut through some of this skin here around your wrist. We're going to, you know, we're basically going to find the channel that already exists. We're just going to widen it a little. I thought I saw a creeper up there on that floating island. He must have despawned or fallen to his death. But the carpal tunnel, I said, you know, surgery didn't sound too bad at all. You know, you're basically just, you know, finding the existing thing and making it a little bit bigger. And, you know, then, hey, you know, the nerve's no longer compressed and, you know, it recovers and everything's fine. And then he started explaining the ulnar nerve fix. And I thought, okay, this will be about the same thing. He said, now for your ulnar nerve, your little bony groove that your nerve goes in around your elbow is too small. And what we could do is what we could do is just make that nerve a little bigger, but because it's bone, it's not, you know, cartilage and muscle like on your wrist there. It's a lot more difficult. So the best thing to do, and of course because it's there on, you know, on your elbow, it's susceptible to further damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a line about 6, 8, 12 inches down the side of your arm here. We're going to dig down all the way to the bone to find your nerve. We're going to fillet the muscles and whatnot away from your arm to totally expose the nerve. Then we're going to dig the nerve out of that bony channel, and we're going to move it over here, up here, underneath the muscles of your arm, so that the nerve is in a whole brand new place. And I know that sounds scary, and I believe by that point I had turned pale. But I know that sounds scary, Troy, but really it's the best way of dealing with this, you see, because up there under your muscle, bypassing the bend of your elbow, so to speak, the nerve doesn't get stretched. It doesn't get pulled taut against that bony channel anymore. And it doesn't, it's not exposed to further damage. And because it's up there underneath that big layer of muscle, it's, ooh, come on, easy does it. Where does this go? That goes pretty darn deep. I don't think I want to check that just yet. And because it's under all that muscle, it's got a good blood supply, and it heals up real quick. So, you know, don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay. So he finally talked me into it, and scheduled for the surgery. And I thought, oh wait, I need to tell the boss about this. You know, schedule time off. How much time off do I need? And he says, well, let's see, where do you work at? Hospital? Yeah, I work at a hospital. I says, okay. Well, light office work like you'd see at a hospital, you know, you can usually return to work in about 2 weeks after this type of surgery. And I said, actually, I don't do light office work. I'm a security officer. He says, oh, well, then 4 to 6 weeks will be fine. You know, you just sit at a guard post somewhere, don't you? And I said, well, no, you know, we got out and do patrols and whatnot. And he says, oh, okay. Well, about 8 weeks then, I guess. Since, you know, you're not the police or anything, you don't chase people down and tackle them, do you? And I said, well, actually, I do tackle people. I tackled somebody just the other day. And he says, oh, well, in that case, how long can you be out of work and still have a job to go back to? And I said, I think the Family and Medical Leave Act gives me 12 weeks. And he says, well, from a bizarre coincidence, your recovery will take exactly 12 weeks. And I said, okay. And he says, look, I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but I don't want you getting into a fight with somebody and tearing loose all the work that I just did. We'll have to go back in, and we will have to, tear everything loose and sew everything back together again. And I said, okay, fine, Dandy. I'll be good. I'll be careful. I won't work for 12 weeks. So I went and told my boss, I'd be out of work for 12 weeks, filed all the appropriate paperwork with HR and everything, got ready for the surgery, and so I could save a little money, I arranged to have the surgery done at the hospital I worked at the time, because they would write off the biggest part of my bill since I was an employee there. And that's when I realized I may have made a mistake. You see, we'd been having a big parking enforcement push, and I had written tons and tons of parking tickets for the employees. Because the employees would say, well, when I come into work, this parking lot's empty, and I know it's marked for use by the patients or by the visitors, but it's empty when I get here, so I don't see why I shouldn't be allowed to park here. And the reason, incidentally, you're not allowed to park there is because while it's true when you come in at 5, 6 in the morning, there's no one parked there. I'm getting some weird stutters and lags and whatnot. Was that the last of my pork? Hey, I finally finished off my pork. Woohoo. I'm kosher now. While it's true that there's no patients, parked in the parking lot when you come into work at, say, 5 in the morning, that's because your department doesn't start seeing patients until 6 in the morning, and your patients haven't showed up yet. And the reason why there's no patients out in that parking lot when you leave at, say, 5 or 6 in the afternoon is that you see your last patient at 4 and you send them home. And so, yes, of course, when you come in the morning, when you leave at night, the parking lot's always empty, and you think security is just being a jerk for telling you you're not allowed to park there because, that's for patients. There's actually a very good reason why that's so. But so basically everyone I dealt with while I was getting signed up, getting pre-approved for my insurance, whatever, took the opportunity to say, and why did you write me a ticket? Why are you doing this? And here you are asking me a favor, after you've been so mean to me. Well, technically I'm not asking you a favor. I'm just asking you to do your job. And technically I wasn't being mean to you. I was doing my job. And to be honest, I'm 44 years old. I've worked since I was about 14. So that's 30 years in the job market. And I've lost track of how many bosses I've had, how many jobs I've had, how many coworkers I've had. But I will tell you this, it wasn't until I entered the healthcare field that I ever encountered employees who thought they deserved better parking than the customers. If you work retail at a store or something, they park you around the back by the dumpster. And if you ever said, well, when we get here in the morning, there's no customers out front, I don't see why we can't. Hello. Stupid lag. I'm getting some stutters or something. Lag spike of death or something. And we're going to blame that every time I fall and hurt myself or something. But it looks like we've got us another little cave to explore here. Unless it just peters out, which it just petered out. How am I for coal? I could use a little bit more coal here. So the kicker of all that, these employees upset that I was doing my job and asking them to park where they were supposed to park, came from when I stopped by the day surgery department just to double check what time I was supposed to be there in the morning. And why are you writing me a ticket? I've got permission to park there. And it was true. At one point, she was taking some classes at the local college in the middle of the day. And they had given her just enough time off from work to run over to the college, take the class, and come back and finish her shift. And because, the timing was tight, they gave her permission to park close to the building. But here I was writing her a ticket for parking close to the building. And the reason is that she was no longer taking that class. That was the previous year that she had received permission to park there while she took that class. And because she was no longer taking that class, as far as I was concerned, she didn't need to be parking there. But her view on it was that when they gave her permission to park next to the building in the patient parking, they did not put an expiration date on that. They did not tell her she had to stop parking there when the class ended. And she was going to go find her original letter where the administrator of the hospital officially gave her permission to park there to prove to me that there was no expiration date, and basically for the rest of her life she was allowed to park there. And I said, well, take it to whoever is covering my shift while I'm out, because I will be, out for a while after taking this, having this surgery. And she says, oh, you're having surgery? So she looks it up and says, oh yeah, you're having surgery. You need to be here at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And are you going to write any more tickets today? And I said, yes, I'm going to go out and see if I can find your car on my way home today, just to make sure you've gotten a ticket. She says, well, just for that, I'm changing your orders. You're going to come out of surgery looking like a girl. So that's professionalism in the hospital right there. So I'm supposed to be there at 7 o'clock, right? So I go home, and there's a light flashing on the answering machine saying I've got a message. I check the message. Hello, Mr. Cheek. This is so-and-so with the hospital. Just confirming that you need to be here tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. to get ready for your surgery. So I called up to complain. I was just there, an hour ago. I was told be there at 7 o'clock. That's what I was told to start with. Be there at 7 o'clock. My surgery is not until like 10 or 11. I said, well, your doctor changed your scheduled surgery time, so now you have to be here at 5 because you're going to be in surgery by 9. And I said, okay, just want to mention that you told me I'm not allowed to drive home after this. Oh, of course not, sir. You're not allowed to drive home after major surgery. So, and that you won't start the surgery. Why is there a spider squealing? Is there a spider close by? And you said you won't start the surgery unless I have somebody there to drive me home. That's correct. So, my 62-year-old mother, I'm going to have to get her up at, 3 in the morning to get her dressed and on the road and be there by 5? And they're like, oh, well, you don't have anybody else that can drive you? And I said, no. I said, oh, well, in that case, just get here when you can. So, luckily, my mother, got up pretty early that morning, and we actually got there not too much later than the 5 o'clock we were supposed to get there. They stuck me in a gown, stuck me in a room, and we waited and we waited and we waited. And, initially they told me to be there at 7 and that they were had to do all the little everything, and that they'd take me into surgery or start getting me ready for surgery at 9 and all that. So we got there about 5. About 7 o'clock, they came in and found out that I'd already pre-registered and gotten everything taken care of ahead of time. And then I stayed there till 9 when they finally started readying me for surgery. And then finally took me off to the actual surgery about 11 o'clock, which was pretty much the original timeline, except someone had told me to be there at 5 o'clock. And I believe that was another example of that professionalism I was talking about. Oh, hello, Mr. Wolf.